Welcome back to the LEC. XL Esports and Vitality are fighting tooth and nail to make it into playoffs, and now they face off in a game that can turn the tides for both teams. Every game counts. Who could have thought? Of course, throughout summer, they have displayed similar strengths and weaknesses. Now we're going to take a closer look at both of these teams, but it's good for us to kick off with the jungle mid duos. Big strength for both teams, but let's start with XL.
Now, we always talk about mid-jungle. We've done it all day for almost every team, but there's a big reason for it, right? It's because the meta is so jungle mid-centric because they unlock the map. And Markoon, Nukeduck, they look so much different to Nukeduck Dan. I feel like the playmaking, the way that they play through mid to side is fantastic. We even saw the Lucian game, especially, I think it was yesterday when Nukeduck was playing that. He had a winning lane. He was facilitated by his jungler, which in essence made it so that he could move towards bot lane to help out Patrik. And I think that when it comes to mid-jungle, I think this is where both teams are kind of explosive. I think most teams are explosive through mid-jungle because top lane meta right now is more towards carries, can be weak side in a sense. Bot lane, melee support fighting, but mid lane, Lucians, LeBlancs, Sylases, all these kind of things need resources, they need time, and they need to be invested in.
And it definitely seems like the roster changes that XL made were about facilitating play around the mid lane with how much Advienne roams that area of the map as well. For me personally, when I look at Vitality on the other side and them playing towards mid, I almost want to see Selfmade on some more early game focused champions, ganking focused champions. His Advienne, we know, can be good. Yesterday, maybe not the best performance in the early game, but for me, I feel like Vitality feel a little bit more comfortable when they can unlock Selfmade earlier into the match and get him active around that mid lane.
Yeah, and I think if you look at just both teams, mid-jungle is 1 point, and I feel like maybe Vitality a little more explosive in the mid-jungle, a lot more gank focused, you get leader ahead. Whereas XL, a lot more control, I have to say, but both these teams are similar not only in strengths, but in weaknesses as well. I feel like when it comes to the weaknesses of these teams, the early games look pretty fine. Yes, they're inconsistent here and there, but the mid to late game, I feel like these teams drop the ball. Vitality and XL in a similar way, but in a different fashion. So for example, Vitality, they take fights they shouldn't take. They overfight and they have a lot of miscommunication from what I can see when it comes to neutral objectives, whether it's get the dragon and get out, or actually look for the fight itself. Whereas XL, they manage to get themselves into a stable, comfortable lead, but they just dive way too deep in fights, which they don't really need to take because they have a good setup, they have good siege going, they have Baron against Fnatic, they're hitting towers. You don't really need to dive.
Certainly, and luckily for us, we have the clips to back it up when it comes to some of these mistakes. Let's start by taking a look at XL. Now, it has been difficult at times with some of the overcommitments that we do see in plays.
Yeah, and I think here you can just see it, right? You have a free tower, and I think you don't really need to go for the dive.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going up between two towers here. Like in other situations, it's like, where's your backline? Where's the rest of the damage? Kryze isn't there, so he can't help out. Patrik is now between two towers too. It can be really problematic. There's also situations where like Patrik can't support the rest of the team and he's not able to get there into the backline. Again, Markoon, Advienne, Nukeduck, a lot of initiators, but where's your damage? Kryze and Patrik are nowhere to be found, so you're starting off a fight. You're CCing people, that's great, but there's absolutely zero follow-up, and this has been the biggest problem with XL, is the disconnect between their damage dealers and their initiators.
I think the important thing, though, is it's easy to fix. I mean, you just need to be on the same page, talk about how you want to fight. That's a big thing. I think that XL have been working on team fights, and the easiest question is, how do we fight? You ask yourselves before the setup, do we want to play front to back, flanks? How do we want to set up? It's the question they need to ask themselves.
And certainly sometimes easier said than done. We're going to have to see if both these teams can shape up again because it's very high stakes coming into these matchups. But of course, Vitality, they're not scot-free. We don't just have XL clips to go through as well. Vitality had a disastrous Drake fight versus Misfits. We look back at this one, while there's some arguments about execution for XL, this was just a bad choice for Vitality.
Yeah, this was just terrible. I mean, leader doesn't have to show himself here. Crownshot again is overall. It's the same situation with XL. Like, their damage dealer can't get into this fight. You're also looking for this long looping flank with the Rakan as well. It's just very odd in the decision making there because half the team, it seemed like, wanted to burst the Drake and get out, and the other half were trying to set up some sort of a fight. And along the way, somehow the communication just completely broke down, and that is a huge problem as you head into the final stretch of the season.
Ender's completely right. It all comes down to miscommunication. Both these teams need to be on the same page because they can get to these stages quite comfortably. It's about executing on the final hurdle to get over the line.
And remember, both these teams are competing with the Astralis for what could be the final playoff spot. So taking down someone who is in that race with you is absolutely massive. Both these teams, they've got a lot to clean up in this game. So we're going to see who can take a monumental win in the race for playoffs.
Thank you very much. Those tosses need a bit of cleaning up there as well, Dracos. Welcome back to the Cast Desk. It's Quickshot and Guldborg bringing you, of course, Vitality taking on XL with Astralis just winning moments ago. That is the team that both of these teams want to overtake. Now, I think it's going to be a very difficult task because not only is Astralis ahead of them, Astralis owns the head-to-head, and currently Astralis look to be the slightly stronger team.
And who would have thought that? All these teams now are looking up to Astralis to be the team to overtake. That is absolutely crazy, especially when you consider from the start of the season where we are, with the hype coming in, especially to teams like Vitality. Yeah. I was here for the first week of LEC, and we were talking about the potential that perhaps was in Vitality, but we just have not seen it come to fruition.
Not enough. That's the crucial for me, because the explosiveness, the ability to have an impact is there for Vitality, but I think it's relatively one-dimensional. I think it's something that you really, really have to, excuse the pun here, excel at if you're going to compete at this level. Now, I do want to quote one thing Ashley said yesterday during Ready Check, was that looking at teams from around the world and looking at different leagues, you are seeing different playstyles, different approaches to the game, and they can work, but it just hasn't been enough yet for Vitality. Now, turn attention to the draft. We'll continue this discussion in-game, I think, as Varus and Thresh immediately banned away, followed up by that LeBlanc and Draven. So very targeted, Nukeduck and Patrik.
Yeah, and every time you see a Draven ban, it's quite easy to throw Kalista into the mix. Draven is one of those champions that neutralize the laning phase and aggression you get out from the Kalista, so it wouldn't surprise me to see Team Vitality try and go for that on their first rotation on the red side. But now, Gwen, a champion we've talked loads about, is still up and available, but on the side of Excel, they're going to go for this Lucian.
All right, let me take a quick look through our summer stats here. 1 game played on Lucian for Nukeduck. He won it. KDA of 9. Go for it.
I just love the fact that Nukeduck is probably going to pilot this Lucian now, and Leader just lost the Lucian into Ryze matchup yesterday, where he was solo killed, and now the first thing he does is grab the Ryze for himself. That is not a melee champion.
I love that callback, and I'd actually completely forgot about it in the heat of the moment. But these picks are coming in quick and fast. Diana, Aphelios, Lee Sin, as well as that Jinx. So a lot of damage already being put on the cards, and you would expect Selfmade to be running that Lee Sin. It's something that he has played several times this summer already, and of course, that will be a very powerful jungle Diana for Markoon.
So far, there's still a few options that Vitality can take their composition. They can opt into a 1-3-1. You keep the Jinx as a weak side together with a Braum or anything else. Try to keep it safe and farm safely up with Ryze in a side lane. And a potential last pick for Szygenda on the side of Excel already. You see Markoon's Diana. Excel is one of the only teams that consistently has this priority on the Diana. And this is something that came from all the way back to the NLC with Markoon as well, where this is just the kind of champion he loves to play. Now, he's great in the early game, but in the late game, we have seen him overexcel too much on it at times, and that is what we need to look out for as well.
And especially because Markoon as well as Advienne are the two players that actually got me on board the XL hype train, but also, more importantly, I think, had a positive influence on how the team approached the game and their look during the middle of the season. XL are not afraid to be proactive, to jump into your face, and I think something that you were saying, Guldborg, Markoon also unlocked a level of performance from Nukeduck that we haven't seen in a little while. You'll obviously be able to have that AD-AP duo. The last ban will be coming out. So Gwen, as Camille removed from the pool, Alistar removed as well there from Labrov, and now finally Renekton.
And that's quite curious. Leona is still a super strong supportive pick that's up and available into this one. I don't know if that's because they want to round it up where the counter pick Braum immediately. Nautilus is also up and available. But here's the thing for Vitality. Either they blind pick the top or the support here, and the last pick is going to be the carry point here. They need to make sure that R5 is going to be the champion you play for, because they get the extra enabling. And they're still kind of a flex pick, actually.
I agree with that, and I also think probably a relatively good, like, beefcake pick. You know, when you think of Ryze, Lee Sin, Sett, now again, this is the Vitality style. You know, they like to brawl, they like to fight, they like to get into your face. And there was a brief hover on Braum for Advienne, as we'll see what XL round their composition out. But that Sett can still flex. Technically speaking, that Lee Sin can still flex, so Vitality saving some cards for the last pick.
Yeah, but as soon as I see this Rakan, then I'm thinking this Sett that's going up towards the top side of the map. We need Leona and Nautilus going in towards this one. Rakan is having a hard time when he's against champions that's super good at locking him in. That's why we always see, when we see a Braum, you pick Rakan into it. Braum has a hard time locking down the Rakan, but the other champions that we've already talked about here, here, they're up and available, and they can go for this one. And the Jayce to come in against the Sett is going to be great, because now if you are playing towards the Sett, you're playing it into a ranged Jayce that's going to have an easier time managing those waves.
A lot of ranged poke engaged there from Diana and Rakan. Labrov will round out the composition in a moment, but this will be another unique pick for Kryze, and I can't quite put my thumb on Kryze as a player. You've got Nocturne, Lulu, Wukong, Jax, Mundo, Jayce. They're trying a lot here, XL, throughout summer. The Nautilus will now be rounded out. Okay, let's zoom out. Talk about the compositions as a whole. What are you seeing?
Yeah, okay, so on the side of XL here, I'm obviously seeing some things that can be a bit disjointed. You have the Diana and you have the Rakan that can go in for the all-in potential, but then at the same time, you have the Aphelios, which is one of these AD carries that like to kite back. He's not too much about moving forward, but he can still be an enabler when he has the Gravitum, and that's what we're looking for in teamfight scenarios, where you can just jump in on it, keep them poked down a bit, and wait for that pivotal moment where you see the potential.
And of course, don't forget that Aphelios into those short-range champions, if he's fed, if he's farmed, if he has his items, does particularly well with the right weapon choices. Turn our attention to Vitality.
That's the thing, they have the lockdown as well. They have some of these possibilities where you say, all right, we're all in, but they also have the kite back in the Ryze and in the Jinx, and that is going to make this interesting in the sense that drafts are not a vacuum. They are engaging with each other, so when you see this Rakan moving forward, if he is locked down by the Nautilus, down into the Flame Chompers by the Jinx, they're going to have a very hard time. So XL, they need to be careful by their engages.
Welcome to the Rift for XL versus Vitality. This is one of the games that I really was interested to see, because of course in that race for playoffs, these are two of the teams that honestly I think you would have maybe expected at the beginning of summer, maybe over Astralis, and we're just in this really unique scenario that they're fighting with Astralis for that spot.
They are, and also the way they're doing it, Trevor, you started out saying Vitality, they could be one-dimensional. This is a very different Vitality draft, just because you see leader on the Ryze. Now, I will give it to you if they fail to execute on it, but you can see they're trying out new stuff, and the Des was talking about they wanted Selfmade on something that had more agency in the early game. Well, on the Lee Sin, you need to find that agency in the early game.
Yeah, you really, really do, especially when you look at 280 carries on the side of XL, as well as the ability to sort of hard engage. Obviously, you have to throw your bodies at those fights. Vitality, going to be looking for some of those picks, looking for some of those flanks with the Sett, with the Lee Sin and Crownshot and Labrov. Step just out of the bush, so no shenanigans afoot just yet.
Yeah, but I already like the realization of the lanes you see here from the side of Vitality. Ryze loses the matchup into Lucian in the early game. He's going to be pushed in. The same goes for Kryze on the Jayce, arranged into melee on the Szygenda. So therefore you're seeing Selfmade pathing down towards the bot side of the map, because there's essentially nothing he can do up towards this one. And then the counterpart of that is obviously Markoon doing the exact opposite. He has the pressure towards the top side, so they're moving up there. So we won't see any of these early skirmishes, at least from the junglers, to clash out.
Okay, and of course, bottom lanes both going to be very happy to jump into your faces. So now Selfmade will start to back away, clear out a couple of chickens. Is there a possibility to jump onto Nukeduck level 2? He's got that flash available to him if he needs it, not going to. And I think Selfmade as a player has been one of the guys that has been talked a lot about on Vitality, and does have the huge responsibility of leading the charge, of getting leader ahead, and then with the help of leader, then getting Crownshot ahead, and the idea in theory being you've then got your carries for your late game fights, but it doesn't always work out.
Had this been spring with the other jungle camps where it was maybe more impactful this time around with the junglers, this could possibly have been the way, but the jungle proximity from Selfmade is just also one of the lowest, but his stats against other junglers are through the roof. But obviously, once again, that is because he is being played for. Now on Lee Sin, a champion that is not usually a carry champion by its own right. You want to go out and have an influence on the lanes.
Well, Advienne's going to have an influence for now. That's a root down onto Crownshot thanks to purple from Patrik. Labrov manages to get the root down from the passive, and Selfmade's nearby. Flash is not going to get needed as Patrik and Advienne back away just in time. Heal used by Crownshot.
Yeah, so that's actually a summoner deficit going into this one. At the same time towards the top side, no, they're just going to back off. And I'm going to correct myself. Advienne did invest the Ignite there, so they're kind of trading even on that front. But you can still see Markoon up towards this top side. It wouldn't surprise me after Blue buff he wanted to go up towards the top again.
No, absolutely. I'm going to go back to that Selfmade talking point we had. On the Lucian out of the jungle, definitely an enabler, definitely somebody you want to see. No, every time we go Selfmade, there's a fight in the bottom lane. That's a knock-up onto Labrov once again, another route. Red gun stepping forward from Patrik, 150 HP down to 100. The flamethrower's going to do a lot. Shield comes up in just a moment. Flash for Flash, not enough for Labrov. Teleport now, he's going to be replied. It's Leader making his way to the bottom lane. Szygenda as well, double TP. Selfmade's here as well. All 5 members of Vitality join the fray. Advienne's able to fly to safety, and it's Leader that gets first blood.
That is first blood, but how much else is there losing on the rest of the map? Because that is a wave pushed in by Nukeduck now. That is a Jayce as well by Kryze, who's going to be pushing in a wave. So you can see the level deficits already. Nukeduck, Kryze, level 5. Leader, Szygenda, level 4. So that was the cost from that first blood.
I mean, it really is. And gold difference not significant just yet. But of course, with Leader picking up the kill, that very quick lock-in, this is how the fight started. I can't believe so many members joined the fight.
No, it's actually crazy how much Vitality was willing to invest down towards this bottom side of the map. And I understand they want to go for this one. With the Gravitum and with the Sephram coming into it from Patrik, it's super easy stacking down the slow. Labrov, very intelligent, he holds onto the shield, I believe, and when the flash come out from Patrik, that is the overextension that Vitality wants to punish. As soon as these TPs are coming through, there's not much they can do. I was actually surprised to see that it was not responded with from the side of XL, but it was due to the nature of Markoon being on the top side. They were never going to have a man advantage.
I had exactly the same thought when I was watching the TPs being channeled. I looked at Markoon, at Kryze, as well as Nukeduck. I'm like, do they want to? But I think very importantly, as you mentioned during the fight, Guldborg, the advantage that XL picked up. There's a CS lead for Kryze in the top lane, a little bit pressure in the lane. CS advantage for Nukeduck for the time being in the mid lane. And Advienne is one of the guys that has just had, again, a huge impact on how XL approached the game. He continues to play aggressive, to start off fights, and he's already roaming. We'll be able to find out. Selfmade. Markoon was a level up and it's just been balanced out. Blast Cone takes them out to safety. And literally, we don't have time to talk because both teams just are looking for those fights.
Yeah, I feel like that was always going to be the case when you have Markoon and Selfmade in this game because they are just 2 junglers that love to make the most out of any given moment. Down towards the bot lane again. We speak of him, Selfmade.
There's no flash for Patrik. He's trying to get to safety. Markoon makes his way in, but that's the dash to safety. White-blue, there's the damage coming down. Markoon not going to be enough for Labrov just yet. One more dash forward. Finally does. That's the reply from XL.
And there are the 2 junglers once again, the one to shadow, the one to go for the engagement. Markoon making the best of that moment. Drake is up now and available if they want to go for it. On the top side instead, it's not stopping Trevor.
It's not at all. That's flash for flash. Blast Cone manages to get Kryze to safety, and the round warp will be sidestepped out of. We'll lose that one for now. A little bit of damage coming out of Nukeduck as he pushes yet another wave forward. And that is, again, just a testament of how this game is playing out. Kryze was able to get some pressure, he moved into the river, and Leader was able to respond first.
Yeah, you're completely right about that one. And having an early game now with Leader 1 kill ahead, where he's not actually having a mistake yet, it's actually not something we've seen fairly often. We've had our criticism, and it's going to continue because another fight is about to start.
It really is. This time round, the teleport is coming out. Nukeduck's going to dash forward, use the culling to take out a Leader. Cast a curse indeed. XL have got their second of the game, and doesn't look like they're done yet. Start to push forward. And that was, of course, Kryze and Nukeduck committing their teleports. So now that window will swing back for Vitality to counterpunch in a little bit of time.
Yeah, but it seems like XL, they're getting more value out of their TP on this one. They get the kill, they get the minion wave pushed in, they get the jungle camps taken away, and you can see Szygenda up towards the top side of the map. It's not like he's losing much at the moment. In this game, it's very chaotic because both teams, they want to get the most out of their early game. From the side of Vitality, their win condition lies, at least from the Sin, to get the most out of it before he becomes useless towards the mid to late game instead.
Yeah, it's just that setup bot, really. But luckily, Szygenda's currently on even footing with Kryze. Mid lane is the only big deficit, but Leader was able to pick up a kill. He's already started to back, and if you look at the mini-map, Vitality starting to invade the top jungle of XL, but XL sending so many members, only Patrik remaining in the bottom lane.
Yeah, there we go. It is kind of this meta. We just throw it all on towards the top side.
Press the slash, the Lunar Rush. That's a two-man knock-up, and Advienne's only level 4 Selfmade. Gonna get taken out. It's Kryze that gets the kill, the third for XL, and that's very important as well on the Jayce. Unlock that poke damage and sort of offset that even footing with Szygenda.
Yeah, critically, Markoon is very low, so he needs to farm up his HP on the jungle camps before they can start on the Rift Herald. But that was a setup by Vitality, a play they tried to execute on, and immediately the response, the read was there from XL. You saw the whole time Advienne, he was walking up towards the top side instead of going down back towards the bottom.
The pace of this game is so different to the previous one we just cast, Guldborg, and every opportunity, players are jumping forward, and now all of a sudden, Selfmade looks at 3 members of XL. That Sonic Wave missing, I think, was a blessing for XL. Realm Warp will be available in just a moment or two. There's no TP for Kryze. Super Mega Death Rocket to steal the blue buff for Crownshot.
But this is exactly what you need to do. Every given time you have priority, you need to make the most out of it in any given lane, and you can see bot lane was pushed in. You had the opportunity to try and go for the blue buff, and while Vitality still gets the blue buff, it's the fact that they have to invest more into it. They had to go for the Super Mega Death Rocket, and that is now a tool that Vitality will not have on the map.
No, absolutely, and of course, there's nothing huge to play for just yet. Rift Herald still stands, no Dragon picked up. It's a 1,400 gold lead for XL, so keep that in mind as we start to move into the next passage of play. But it to my eyes, it doesn't feel quite as clean or calculated. I don't know what the right word is.
Okay, so it is because it becomes very skirmish heavy, and it is because you seems like, oh, they're just starting it. But it's the fact that if you can deny leader blue buff, oh, I'm just gonna hold it from Markoon. He's still looking on Selfmade here.
Dash forward, the Lunar Rush as well. Not enough damage just yet, so it doesn't have enough to blow up Selfmade.
But to go back to the point, you deny leader on Ryze blue buff, that means they will not get priority. If they do not have priority, that means they cannot go up and contest this Rift Herald. So XL, with them now having pushed in leader, they're starting up the Rift Herald themselves and going for this play. So it's the small pieces that's leading to this decision making.
And of course, that means that XL are in the advantage. They will be uncontested for now. Selfmade has a moment just before the Herald goes down. It's picked up, dashing over the wall. Markoon's going to be the target. He flashes, takes the mine all the way backwards, and he's brought into the fight by Szygenda. The damage is massive from Vitality. A double for Selfmade. Nukeduck's trying to cull something on the back line, but he simply cannot do it. Vitality find 3 kills.
And so many times have we seen this go wrong for XL at this specific Rift Herald. This is something they have been struggling to do throughout the entirety of their roster changes as well. And Vitality coming in towards this one, Szygenda with a beautiful setup, the substitute himself coming in clutch in that situation. And here we have it again. It's disjointed to the point where you get the Rift Herald, you need to get out immediately, and that's kind of the thought process. So as soon as Markoon is in that situation, you just have to leave him. There's nothing you can do. So instead of just getting the Rift Herald, giving up a life for it, you end up trying to take the team fight and giving a triple kill over to Selfmade, who now finishes Mythic as well.
I mean, that is gigantic, and it's on the champion that you were talking about. You wanted to see some sort of influence. Before 15 minutes now, Selfmade 3-1. And I want to draw your attention to XL's sort of play style and dynamic. You know, during weeks 1 to 3, a negative gold difference, made some substitutions. Looking at weeks 4 to 7, positive gold. You see a gigantic jump in kills, more than double. But what I was impressed by, until let's say last week and maybe a little bit now, they were executing a little bit higher as Markoon and Advienne's first games. It doesn't seem to be consistent just yet, and at 12 minutes we're dead even in gold. 3 kills to 4, and it has no signs of stopping yet. Markoon gets rooted in place, and now we're just going to fight up a dragon. Okay, who has better setup here?
Yeah, but here's the thing, you just invested Diana ultimate. Obviously, you do still have the quickness with Advienne, and because that Crownshot is stuck under his bot side turret, they're just going to back off. But XL, they're not feeling it either. They're going for leader.
Well, there's no culling yet for Nukeduck. Leader sidesteps away from the piercing light. That's a defensive flash from Nukeduck. Heal comes out from Patrik. Root in place for Selfmade. Not going to be able to find the kill just yet. Markoon does get taken out in the end. A lot more damage than I was anticipating. 1-4-1 1-for-1.
Yeah, as you said, 1-for-1, but the worth of Selfmade there is way more than Markoon. The shutdown going over to Nukeduck is obviously something you're happy about from XL. You take a look at the gold lead once again. It's not much, but it's back to them being a bit ahead, a bit even here. These two teams, they're both so willing to pull the trigger.
Now, who does this benefit more? As we have no towers fallen just yet, no dragons secured yet either, it feels like this could be a slightly longer, slightly later game.
It can be a longer one. For Selfmade, he is going to fall off to the side of Markoon. That's only going to get stronger on the Diana. You see very squishy members on leader, on Crownshot here, and they can be toast. For Selfmade is way more execution-based. As when we would just look at Lee Sin, we usually talk about this as a champion where it will fall off, but there is time where there are players on this champion, they're able to make a difference, and Selfmade can be that kind of player.
He absolutely can. And what about the rest of this composition when we look at Crownshot on the Jinx, Szygenda on the Sett as well? One of the players that has already had an influence on the game. 0-0-3, just finishing his mythic for the time being. And Gale Force has picked up a plenty, so a lot more mobility as well throughout these fights.
It's still very much execution-based. The Jinx, the Aphelios, they can do the same in team fights here. There's more setup on the Aphelios, but Jinx, as soon as she gets a reset, that means she can walk forward as well. Szygenda, obviously a setup as well for him, where he's going to be the front line, but on the side of XL, Kryze, he's going to be that difference maker in the poke rather than in the immediate setup that Szygenda might be. So both teams here, they have benefits when you go to the late game. It's going to be execution-based as to how they play their compositions.
And then vision as well. And from our experience, we've had a mixed bag of execution in mid to late game. Labrov starting to threaten Patrik, who has his flash available. The rest of Vitality start to make their way forward. Only that one tower secured in favor of XL pushes that gold lead ever so slightly further forward. And I think very important to keep your eyes on the fact that kill for Kryze, kill for Markoon, 2 for Nukeduck. There's not enough members around just yet as XL may concede this dragon. Not going to arrive in time, and Labrov could set up a play, not going to do it just yet.
In general today, our Drakes has just been very late when they have been taken. And this is going to give us a very late soul win condition as well, which is just going to stall out the games a bit longer. Selfmade looking for Markoon.
Oh, Markoon not going to be able to get over the wall, throws down the ultimate though. Nukeduck in a very safe position. Manages to get the first kill here onto Selfmade. The culling will be able to do a lot of damage, cancelled early. Szygenda's got the showstopper available. What target does he want to use? 2 members of Vitality backing away. Crownshot joins in. 3 versus 5. The Moonlight Vigil comes out and not enough damage yet. Vitality lose 2.
Yeah, but they seem so careful there, XL as well. Usually we talk about them being oversellers. They go too much far forward. This time around, Markoon tried to hectic Rocket Belt over a wall. That now it works, and they still get the re-engage now. They're not done just yet.
That was a Gale Force away from Crownshot. He had flash and heal. But Vitality giving up 2 kills in the jungle. Initially, I held my breath for Markoon, but there was enough members nearby. Remember, they looked like XL maybe wanted to challenge the dragon, but they arrived a little late, and obviously it was taken already.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is just Vitality trying to look for a setup. There's a ward down to Markoon. They know he's there, so they're going for the play, but it's just a bit overconfident. The TP from Szygenda is more of a response TP rather than a setup TP going into this one, and the flash away is just brilliant there.
I mean, that to me is kind of like those typical Vitality plays. They play on the edge of safety, maybe sensibility sometimes. And Vitality's play style is that of see hero, kill hero, go forward and look for kills over and over.
It most certainly is, but we can't keep this up all the time. We need to open up the map a bit more now. And with the second Rift Herald inbound, that has gained a lot more value ever since we got the outer turret buffs where they give more gold in the tier 2. But this is also the kryptonite of XL, remember that.
It is indeed, and I think as long as XL have the vision and they play maybe with a little bit of that tempered aggression that we saw in the bottom lane, I have a little bit more faith in decision-making from XL on relatively even footing going into the mid-late game stages. I think throughout the course of summer, they've been one of the more competitive teams, one of the more difficult teams for everyone else to beat. And when we look at sort of their gold graphs, when we look at the game lengths, when we look at the top of the table teams, they really have to work hard to take down XL. For the time being, XL have got a gold lead, and Nukeduck will be the next target. Ardent Blaze won't find anybody, but XL kind of have a feeling they just haven't got it confirmed.
Okay, there we go. Now they know. Realm Warp comes through, and they go for the engage.
They do indeed. Realm Warp will get everybody out from Vitality. Going fishing and don't find anything, but that Rift Herald, this is on the cards. Looks like it's just about to be secure. The Mega Death Rocket comes out. Markoon jumps forward, throws down the ultimate. Labrov will be the first to fall. Selfmade flashes to safety, taken out by the Gravitum, and now lead him. But he's jumped on by Nukeduck. He simply cannot find enough of those Qs as Patrik steps forward. They get the Herald, they get 2 kills, and XL are in absolute control.
I'm so curious as to why Vitality stepped up onto that one, because they already had their realm mob up. They didn't have the man advantage either. The Crownshot was in the mid lane. He was clearing out the wave, while Patrik, he was already there, ready for the play. And as we take a look onto the replay again, yeah, there you can see it on the minimap. Patrik, not Patrik, but Crownshot rather, just clearing a wave, while Patrik is there once again with the Gravitum that is setting up the team composition. That is a pivotal comp, or gun rather, for Patrik to have with the team composition XL are drafted for themselves.
I think Patrik has done very well with those Gravitum roots. You said it during draft, and I was like, yeah, for the ultimate, I absolutely see that. But what I really appreciate from Patrik is he's using it very well, not only during the lane phase, during the skirmishes. I think we're seeing that gun selection being very impressive the last few games. Now, on the converse, the only thing I've really seen Crownshot do is try snipe with the Mega Death Rocket. And this is not a comment on him. The team and the decision-making from Vitality is just not enabling him or setting him up.
It's also Jinx as a champion right now. You gotta understand that there's not much this champion can do before she gets 2 to 3 items. That is where she really becomes a true level of danger. Yeah. But the problem with that is, and that is also the reason why we have not really seen Jinx too much as of late, because she just not have the same impact in the early stages of the game as other AD carries might have.
Well, this is a gigantic advantage being built up here. XL plus 3,000 gold. The Rift Herald gets summoned in the top lane. Vitality will stand to defend for now. Labrov got the flash, got the depth charge. Tower will survive the boop. Kryze has got that teleport available, and Vitality looked for the engage. This was caught out by Advienne. Patrik gets tagged by the depth charge, flashes away from Szygenda. Advienne's life is sacrificed to allow Patrik and the rest of XL to escape. Selfmade hops over the wall, finds no target, but Kryze is just about arriving. Markoon dashes forward with a fantastic moonfall to the skies with a Mercurial Hammer, and cry, 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 Vitality. XL dominate the counter engage. Crownshot will be the next target. No flash, no heal, no chance, no hope. He is taken down. XL can turn for Baron.
How many times have we said Markoon step too far forward? Not this time around. He dashes in, as you said yourself. Perfect ultimate on the Diana at the perfect time, with the follow-up from Kryze as well, with the 2 disguise. And they had a gold lead. Then they're up towards the top side of the map. They went for play. They lose Advienne in the exchange. They take the 4v4. They win it from a huge performance of Markoon, and they're able to get the Baron.
I mean, this is the replay that you just broke down in great depth. Keep our attention, obviously. I think huge kudos. Advienne buying enough time, and this re-engage was gigantic.
That's the thing there. He's just waiting, and even though Szygenda has already put him far backward, he don't care he didn't get the reset. He just needs to get these 3 members, and it completely splits the fight up on 4 fronts. You don't have a singular unit of Vitality beating down members. You have them all taken care of one by one, and they just can't deal with that when the wallet is so huge from XL.
Yeah, and again, it's another Baron that is gift-wrapped and handed over. The previous game, a decision from a team to push a lane, to be in a certain location, means they get punished and allows their opponents to pick up Baron. Teleport's being channeled, waiting for the hammer, shove that one down, and kill donated here to Nukeduck. 6-0-4, 13 kills to 7, 6,000 gold lead. Vitality, like, when are you going to learn? The answer is not always to fight.
It's not, but it is for XL right now.
It really is. Goodbye, Crownshot. 14th kill secured, 22 minutes, fast approaching. And now this game has just been blown wide open. XL have punished mistakes. They have also played proactively, and they're using their composition here exceptionally well, Guldborg.
Yeah, and they're just juggling the members here. You can see Vitality, they're trying to find something with the Realm Wall, but they can't. They will continuously lose out on front here. Now it's the mid lane. After the mid lane, you can move back up towards the top side. You can even reset, or you can go for fight.
Well, Labrov will be the first target here from XL. The engage comes out. Nukeduck dashes away to safety, uses that kill force as well. Selfmade's kick has already been used. Patrik did get taken down, and it was at the cost of Labrov. Death Rocket comes out, Nukeduck's low, the inhibitor stands. This is good for Vitality. They're going to be able to hold on to the inhibitor for now. That outplay potential, the execution you talked about on display. but it's going to be so difficult to replicate that multiple times.
That is the thing, and it's good for now that the inhibitor has not been taken down, but the Baron is still active for XL, and they will get out on this one now. I feel like the best possible option for XL here had been they would be able to just back off here, but it's a nice engage coming through from Vitality to try and deter them away here. They get some good picks. And after this, when it's a 4v4, when they're still low on the side of XL and cannot commit to it, that's the breaking point where XL need to back off.
Yeah, it really, really is. Inhibitor will stand. Baron will time in a moment or two. 2 dragons have been picked up for Vitality, so keep that in mind. I doubt they'll get a lot of time to secure that. Maybe they can sneak it. And I just want to remind everybody what the league looks like right now. XL and Vitality, 5 wins, 9 losses. Astralis had just won a game previously. And of course, the hopes are that one of these 3 teams will move their way into playoffs. And Guldborg, as we look ahead for XL, the teams that they will be playing are difficult in Rogue and G2, but they do play Astralis. Unfortunately, they lost to Astralis last time they played.
That's the scariest team right there. They're playing Astralis. They are out for blood. And speaking of that, they're going forward Vitality.
Well, Advienne this time around knocks up Labrov, charms up Szygenda. Nobody is touched yet from XL. Finally, Nukeduck takes some damage as the dredge line catches Markoon. Hourglass buys enough time for Selfmade to get some air miles. As Advienne once again dances in battle on Vitality's face. 10,000 gold lead. Vitality have been outclassed this day, both in the skirmishes and the fights, but also in the macro.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's nothing they can do about this situation. Now, you already said the macros, some of their setups just didn't pay off for them. And a lot of the times, it was on their terms. Gravitum coming out now from Patrik here, which is usually the comp you want to see with the guns here. But they're just going to back off. And because of this, they're going to get the first inhibitor. They're going to get the second inhibitor. They can reset up towards the top side, and they can try and get the third to finish out this game.
Oh, man. So, by the books, don't overextend. It's only 24 minutes into the game. We got ourselves 25 kills. And after almost no objectives being secured early on, in the last 6 or 7 minutes, it has just been a waterfall of advantages for XL Esports, a team that 3 weeks ago looked a shoe-in to be the 6th team into playoffs. And then now all of a sudden, sort of fighting for their lives to some degree. A team has never made it to playoffs, looking to pick up a crucial win against one of their closest rivals.
And in a year full of substitution, it is so nice to see some of them finally work out here as well. The rookies that's coming in Advienne and Markoon now. Obviously, we saw the schedule. There's still a long journey to go. And this game is not done yet because Vitality, they're always looking for the fight. But right now, XL, they are on the correct track to finishing this game.
Yeah, they are. And of course, now XL pushing forward. Going to start setting themselves up for this next Baron in 50 seconds. There's a Dragon in 20, and Vitality looking for a magical outplay. The vision is not the greatest on the southern side of the map if they want to peel back towards Dragon. But remember, super minions, 2 lanes. Made their way through the river in mid and almost at the steps up top. Markoon's Moonfall won't find a target just yet, but I don't think it's going to matter.
That's a big cooldown. Now you just have to back up completely. Beforehand, you were right. The super minions were going to push in as XL. You could have played it patiently, but now you need to wait a bit longer. You can't just commit for a fight as we just saw Markoon try to.
Of course, if you are a fan of the XL storyline, you need to see if they can pick up some surprise wins against teams at the top of the table. No engage from Markoon super minions inside the base. The minion wave has been culled out here by Vitality. It is Leader that's on clear up duty. XL, they're not backing off. This could be one of the pushes they want to win this for now. Selfmade's caught it in the mid lane, not inside the base, but here comes the minions, Guldborg.
That's the thing here. The minions are coming in. They are going for the play with the mid lane Nukeduck here.
Oh, the culling's available. Flash 2. Selfmade's being chunked out. He's forced to flash. That's the counter and taken down. Nukeduck heals back up. Now it's 5 versus 4. Exposed Nexus turrets. Markoon jumping forward. His engage will be available in a moment or two. It's not needed. Advienne will do the work to set up XL for the win. Markoon picks up 1. Patrik gets the tower. Szygenda drops as well. And Crownshot, the last man standing. 5 members of XL stand tall, take down the second Nexus turret, turn their attention to the Nexus, and XL keep their playoff hopes alive.
Oh, it feels, you can already see it on their faces, so relieved again, smiling. They are, even Nukeduck, which is, you know, a storied mid laner perhaps, but this time around XL really coming together from the get-go with the priority they had in the laning phase to the skirmishes they created, and then Vitality getting a bit too far forward, getting punished by some immaculate play on Markoon on the Diana.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. And Vitality, that style of play, go in, go in, go in, didn't work out. When the execution and the kills don't land or the plays don't net an advantage, it allowed XL everything that they wanted to be able to pick up a fairly convincing win here, I feel. I am just going to go very quickly back onto how difficult this road is for XL as you vote the key player of the game. Markoon, Nukeduck, and Advienne, right? XL will play Astralis, as well as Rogue, and then G2, right? And of course, Astralis most likely the team that they're competing against. As we look at Astralis, their wins, they'll have to come from SK and Vitality. So a very, very different look, and that means XL will be looking at SK and Vitality to help take them down.
Yeah, they definitely are. Those are pivotal matches. We've already talked about the ease of execution, or at least ease of schedule for some of these teams. And towards the playoff runs, we'll say it again, it is just benefiting Astralis. It is so tough for the others to try and come up and compete, but it's still possible.
It really is. I think something I want to leave on the closing thought was just how good Advienne as well as Markoon have been for XL and seeing these players rising up. Now, we'll soon see Mad Lions and Rogue face off in a rematch of the Spring Finals. As we go to break, let's take a look back at Week 6 for our reigning champions and the Kaiser Shockwave delivery system.
The planet and us are connected. We share its veins. We can continue to clog them, or do something about it. By using millions of recycled plastic bottles in our new generation of durable washer and washer-dryer tubs, we reduce plastic waste from leaking into nature's veins. Discover Beko Eco Tub washers and washer-dryers for healthy living on a healthy planet.
Strike hard. This is a fine game.
Welcome back to the LEC as the race for the summer playoffs continues as XL takes down Vitality and ties 6th place along with Astralis. Patrik, a huge victory for you as well as XL. How are you feeling? How do you think the game went?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Obviously, we have some important games nowadays and we need to play good. And I'm just happy we were able to basically do what we did in scrims this week and have such a good result.
You talked about the scrims. What do you think was working well for XL in the scrims the last couple of weeks, and how did you manage to translate that into today's performance?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in scrims we're super aggressive, and most of the time it just works. But in some of the losses that we had, we were just like a little bit too scared, and I felt like in today's game it was just another scrim. Like people were doing proactive plays, just going in, you know, feeling super confident, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, confidence is the key. A quick question about one of your draft choices. We usually associated Aphelios with Thresh, but recently we've been seeing more like Aphelios with Rakan. Can you tell me more about the Aphelios pick and the possible support champions that can be paired well with Aphelios, in your opinion?
So I think me and the guys, we were discussing a bit, like if it's a Thresh that's really OP or it's Aphelios. And yeah, I guess the result is that Aphelios is just OP. And I think like if you pair it with Thresh, Rakan, or maybe Braum, like you're just good to go from the game. Or into the game, I mean.
Many years, I was going to say. So a few weeks ago when Advienne first debuted for XL, we heard from him how the synergy between you and him almost instantly clicked. But I also want to hear from your perspective how you think the bot lane synergy between you and Advienne have developed.
Yeah, I think it's been super nice working with him because he's the player that he's not afraid to like tell you where you fucked up, but he also listens very well to feedback and actually like thinks about it. So I think on a daily basis, just playing the game together, we were getting better and better pretty fast, and we like see more what matchups we like and what we don't like to play, and yeah.
Certainly glad to see that it's working out. One final question. XL does have some, as you mentioned, important matches coming ahead in the Super Week. You will be facing Astralis, as well as Rogue, as well as G2. What are your outlook and the resolutions for the final week of summer?
I think if we play like we do, we're probably gonna do it 3-0. Like you know, I just think when we have a good game, we're like completely fucking good. So I'm really confident.
That's certainly the worst we do want to hear. Again, thank you so much for the interview, Patrik, and best of luck for the Super Week.
Thank you.
And after the break, we take a closer look at the rematch of the spring final, a very dominating looking Rogue versus the defending LEC champions, Mad Lions. So stay tuned.
I can leave now.